Morning everybody. So I have been working on a little project the last few days with heavy cream. You know, because you need heavy cream to make half and half, you need heavy cream to make sour cream, you need heavy cream to make whipped cream. So you can make homemade heavy cream. Well, my question was, could I make homemade heavy cream with store-bought milk, and with that could I make sour cream and whipped cream? Obviously I could make half and half because it's part regular milk, part heavy cream. So, but my question was, could I make whipped cream and sour cream using homemade heavy cream with store-bought milk? So I have made some. It has been sitting in the fridge for 2 days. I don't know if you can see it, but basically that much of it is really thick, like cream. And then of course the bottom is, not as thick. So I'm going to first show you how to make the heavy cream, and then we're going to experiment with the whipped cream. I did make a other batch at the same time, and I've already got the sour cream going. So we're going to see how those turned out. And all of this is done with just regular whole store-bought milk. Regular pasteurized, not ultra pasteurized, but just regular whole store-bought milk. So let me first show you how we do the heavy cream, and we will go from there. Okay, so for starters, you want unsalted butter. And then you want 3/4 cup of regular whole milk. And for the butter, you're only going to use 1/3 cup. So, let me get this open. I know it's probably out of camera sight. So if you look on here, it tells you the 1 tablespoons all the way through. But, basically 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1/4 cup. But if you skip over about 5 and probably 1/4 tablespoon, it actually will say 1/3 cup. So you're just going to cut right there at that line. And we're going to use the 1/3 cup. Let's see if this lights today. Of course not. Now for the butter, we're going to melt this real slow. We do not want it to burn or get like crazy hot. So we're just going to let this melt on low, and actually you can even cut it into pieces to make it melt a little quicker. I don't know if y'all can hear the chicken in the background. I've got a chicken in a cage in the house because she is not doing so well with this cold weather. So if you hear little grunt noises, that would be her. So, but she's just kind of hanging out today, making all kinds of racket. Okay, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I don't want it like crazy hot. Ooh. See, I let that get a little too hot. I wasn't fast enough. It's not going to ruin it. You just don't want to burn your milk. So you're just going to put it on low, and you're just going to keep stirring until it's completely melted. Okay, that is completely melted. So I'm done with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn the flame off so it doesn't keep getting hot. Let me grab a spoon. Okay, so now you're going to take a spoonful of this melted butter, which that didn't really give me very much, and just stir it in there. You're stirring it in the milk. Okay, let's see if it'll relight. Oh, of course not. So I'm going to turn this down to low. And as you're pouring the milk, okay, so now what you're going to do, you don't want the milk to boil, you're just warming it up. So I'm just going to kind of stir this for a minute. You know, basically once you see the milk to kind of start steaming, or you'll see like a white foam come along those edges of the pan. And you can also test it with your finger. As long as it's warm and not burning you. Of course, my hands aren't super sensitive to heat, so I would say basically like almost, well, not quite as hot as a bath water, but close. Okay, I think that is perfect. Alright, so now I'm going to turn the heat off and let me show you what we do next. Okay, so now the buttermilk that we did, you're going to pour it into a blender, food processor. You can do one of those emulsion blenders. And this is a small batch, so you can double, triple, quadruple, however you want. That's how I did this one. And so now you're going to blend it 3 to 5 minutes depending on the thickness that you want. So this is where my mind kind of went into overdrive. The sour cream that you make at home from whole milk, store-bought milk, it's not as thick as what you buy in the store. So basically, if you take fresh cow's milk, you know, not the store-bought, you get it fresh, you can make milk, you can make butter, you can make whipped cream, you can make all kinds of stuff. Well, you can do the same thing with store-bought milk, but sometimes it's just a little different of a process. So I thought, well, what if I blend it longer to make it a little thicker? So the first time I did it, and actually, you know what? We'll get into these sour creams here in just a second. But first, I'm going to go ahead and get this blender going. I'm going to blend, mine has a low, medium, and high, so I'm going to blend mine on medium. And I'm going to run mine for 5 minutes. And when I come back, after this is blended, that way you don't have to listen to it for 5 minutes, I'll explain why and how I got these 3 things. So we will be right back. Okay, so that was blending for 5 minutes. And you can actually see the heavy cream chunks in it. So now, I'm just going to pour this in here and refrigerate that so that can stay in the refrigerator for up to 24 hours. Just kind of give it a shake, mix it up a little bit. So there is heavy cream, and like I said, I blended mine on medium for 5 minutes, and I'm going to let that sit in the fridge. So now on to the sour cream. So I did 2 different batches because I was curious, because you know they say blend it for 3 to 5 minutes. Well, if I wanted the thicker sour cream, would it make a difference on how long I blended it to make that happen without it making whipped cream or butter? So, first, we're going to make sour cream. So I do need to get another jar. Hang on just a second. Let me grab another jar and I will show you how to make the sour cream, and then we will go over the difference between 3 minutes and 5 minutes. So I've got another jar. So now I want to make sour cream. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is I don't want to use all of the heavy part of the cream in here. I just want some of it, and it is like super thick. So this one I actually blended for a full 5 minutes on high. So, woo! So there is a lot of thick cream in here. And I am making a huge mess, but oh well, it's what it is. You know, I think I may put this in the blender. So this is all just kind of a trial. Ooh, that looks yummy. That might be your sour cream right there, minus the vinegar. My refrigerator is really cold, so I think it actually got a little too icy is what it is. So I kind of, I've blended it longer and higher, trying different things on a way that, because if you take the heavy cream from the store-bought heavy cream, and you make sour cream, it tastes just like sour cream, but it's like, did you hear the chicken? It's like, kind of runny. It's not real thick like the store-bought sour cream. Now the store-bought sour cream, granted, they add a lot of thickening agents and preservatives to it. So like when you make homemade sour cream, it's only good in the fridge for like a week. Whereas when you buy store-bought sour cream, I don't even know how long that lasts. I think it's actually quite, oh, I even got it on the floor. I think that lasts actually several weeks, maybe even a month, but they do put a lot of preservatives and thickening agents in it, so that's why it does that. So actually I think I am going to go ahead and put this in here just to give it a mix. There's the lid. Here we go. Now remember, this is just the heavy cream that I made. I have not added anything to it yet. Okay, so bear with me here. I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit because I do want the cream that's in here. Okay, so I took the cream that was in there. Now, I will deal with that in a minute. Boy, I just made a huge mess. Okay, so let me actually grab a paper towel. Alright, so now to make the sour cream. I'm taking the heavy cream that I've had in the refrigerator for, well, it's been a little over 24 hours. Closer to about 30. And in here, I'm going to do 1 cup of the homemade heavy cream. One-fourth cup of whole milk. And then I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of white distilled vinegar. This is to make sour cream. Put a lid on it, which is also covered in milk. Give it a good shake. Alright, now you're going to cover it with a towel or cheesecloth, whatever. You're going to leave it sitting on your counter for 24 hours. That will be sour cream, just like that. So, I'm going to let that one sit. That'll be done tomorrow. So, these ones I did 2 different ones. I did one where I blended the heavy cream for 3 minutes, and which is this one. I'll turn the jars around so you can see it. And then I did one where I blended it for 5 minutes. So this one is 3 minutes. Here is the consistency of the sour cream. Of course you can stir it around and get rid of the little chunkies. Well, when you stir it, it actually gets a lot thinner. So that is like super watery actually. So that was only 3 minutes in the blender. Now, truth be told, these ones I made right away after I made it in the blender. I did not refrigerate the heavy cream first for it to get super thick. Now this one, the top, even if you skimmed off the top, I wonder what that tastes like. Oop. Tastes just like sour cream. So if you wanted the thicker one, just skim off the top, but if you stir it, it is also runny. So I will be very curious to see what this one does. So this is our heavy cream. This is our sour cream that was done with the refrigerated heavy cream for over 24 hours. So I'm going to see how that one does. I will actually hold off on posting this video until tomorrow when I can show you that. So there it is. That is the 3 minute and the 5 minute. Now the 5 minute is definitely thicker. So I'm curious as if I let it refrigerate longer, will this be even thicker than that? So I will come back on tomorrow and show you what that one did. So these are the sour creams. That is the heavy cream. So now my next question with doing this, because if you take heavy cream from the grocery store, if you buy, you know, a half gallon of heavy cream and you put it in your KitchenAid with the whisk attachment, and of course throw a towel over it. But if you just let it go, put a little bit of sugar or vanilla in it and just let it go, that will actually turn into whipped cream. If you let it keep going, you'll start hearing a sloshing sound. That is actually, it has made butter. So it has pulled the butter out of the heavy cream, and what you're left with is buttermilk. So you end up with buttermilk and butter, and then you rinse it. So I'll actually have to do a video on how you do that with store-bought stuff. But I am going to attempt it with the homemade heavy cream and see what it does. So let me grab my KitchenAid and we will see if we can make whipped cream. Okay, so in theory, considering when you buy store-bought heavy cream, you can make whipped cream and butter out of that. I made homemade heavy cream, which came out great. Now I want to see if with homemade heavy cream, can I make whipped cream? So whipped cream is kind of the first stage before butter. So I'm going to pour all of this in here. I am making a huge mess today. Oh well, is what it is. So, now normally when I make whipped cream, I add sugar and vanilla for the sweetness. It is not necessary. You would just have sugar-free whipped cream. But I am not going to add the whipped cream this time because I want to see if I can get it to the whipped cream stage, and if I can I continue it to see if it'll turn into butter. So if you remember, this started out with 1/3 cup of butter and 3/4 cup of milk. So, well, because of the batch I made, it would be times 4 because I made 4 batches to be able to fill my jar. So I'm going to lock this down and I'm going to get it going on medium. And usually with store-bought heavy cream, it takes about 15 minutes or so in order to get to the whipped cream stage. So I will be back in 15 minutes and we will see where this is at. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes, actually 16 now. I had to put a towel over it because it was splashing. Oh wow. It was splashing. So let's see what it did. Tastes like sugar-free whipped cream. It's a little runny, so I think I would, if I was going to use it for, that's from the bottom. If I was going to use it for whipped cream, I think I would let it go a little bit longer, just to get a little bit thicker. But what I want to do now is, I want to see if I can do, wow, I think everything is dirty. I want to see if I can do butter. So I normally buy heavy whipping cream whenever I want to make whipped cream, or whenever I want to make, if I wanted to make like butter out of it. We actually use ghee, so I don't really do that too often unless I'm doing like shapes or something for a special type dinner. But I do buy the heavy whipping cream to do that. But when I just need heavy cream, I just make my own. And for sour cream, I buy the heavy whipping cream to do that. So I thought, well, if I'm making my own whipped cream, why can't I see if I can do all of this with it? So now that I've pushed it all down, that is, like I said, it's just a tad bit runny. It's not as fluffy as I like. There's definitely a difference between the store-bought whipped cream, or the store-bought heavy whipping cream, and the homemade heavy cream. But I do think the key to it was letting this batch refrigerate overnight, because I did try the whipped cream when it was just fresh, just to see if I kept beating it what it would do. and it didn't do anything. So I think the key is refrigeration. But now I would like to see if I can actually switch this over and turn it into butter and buttermilk. Because you can do that with heavy whipping cream from the store, and then of course, you know, fresh cow's milk. But with store-bought or homemade heavy cream, I'm just curious as to what our options are. So I'm going to let this keep going, and I'm just going to see what it turns into. Okay, so we will be back in a little bit. Okay, that did not take long at all. I started hearing this sloshy sound and stuff started going everywhere. So I had to shut the machine off real quick, and I am in total shock. I'm actually really excited. I am always looking for ways to like eliminate different aisles of the grocery store. We actually only have like maybe 4 aisles we go down, but we have butter. Oh my god, that is so cool. So, with that being said, you can make it from store-bought milk just by making a batch of heavy cream. So, just to show you what you would do is you would take all your butter pieces. So I've done this from store-bought heavy cream, but this is the first time I've done it from homemade heavy cream. So you'll take all this off. Okay, and actually, so now you're going to go under cold water, and you're basically going to just knead it like you do bread under water. And you're rinsing out all of the buttermilk that's in it. I need a plate or something. That was a little shocking. Alright. So there is butter. Now, the liquid that is left in here after you make butter, I have a mess of butter on my hands, so I'm just going to wipe them off for now. Since we're really not going, well, we may keep that butter, but the rest of it I'm just kind of experimenting with. So, the liquid that is in the KitchenAid now, that is actually buttermilk. So I did a video on if you just needed to make buttermilk for biscuits or whatever, you know, you do the 1 tablespoon of vinegar with, and fill the rest up to the 1 cup line with milk, and you have buttermilk. This is also buttermilk. But if you think about it, which my brain just kind of went there, I started with regular milk and butter to make heavy cream. I took the heavy cream and made sour cream, whipped cream, got my butter back, and ended up with buttermilk. That's pretty cool. So I think I have found another way to eliminate some different purchases. I've also made a huge mess of my kitchen. But there we go. We have heavy cream, butter, buttermilk. These are the sour creams that I made yesterday. So you set them on your counter for 24 hours, and normally when I do it with store-bought heavy cream, I'll let it sit for 24 hours. I throw it in the fridge and it's a lot thicker than what this turned out. This one, and these are labeled the 3 and 5 minutes for how long I put them in the blender for. This is the one we did today for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put these in the fridge overnight and see what they look like tomorrow. But so far, we've got buttermilk, butter, heavy cream, and possibly sour cream. And we had whipped cream, but we just kept it going to see what it would do. So all these products, and I got my butter back. That's pretty awesome. So we will see you back here tomorrow and take a look at these after they have been refrigerated. Well, this one has to sit on the counter for 24 hours. So I'm going to actually make it 2 days. I'm going to leave this one on the counter for 24 hours, and then I'll put it in the fridge. I'm going to put these two in the fridge, and we'll just leave them in there for a couple days and see the difference. So this one was the one that the heavy cream was cooled overnight. These are the ones that were the only difference was one was 3 minutes, one was 5 minutes, and then they were made instantly. The heavy cream was not put in the refrigerator overnight. So we'll be back actually in 2 days and see how this turned out. Good evening, everyone. So it's been 2 days since I did these. I just kind of wanted to do an update of how they turned out with making homemade heavy cream to make the sour cream. So this was the one I blended for 3 minutes. This was the one I blended for 5 minutes. And this is the one that I made using heavy cream after the heavy cream had been refrigerated overnight. So let's start with this one. It's very liquidy. I mean, it's kind of, actually it's got chunks in it. I don't know, maybe if you stirred it up some. Yeah, that's still like super liquidy. Let's get a couple more spoons here. Okay, this is the one that was blended for 5 minutes. Very, very chunky. This one is actually thicker. Well, no, that one's really liquidy too. And this one was the 3 minutes. So I've made sour cream from the store-bought, and I'm sorry for the noise in the back. My kitten was spayed today, so she has to be in the dog crate, the large dog crate, for a couple days, and so she's not being the psycho kitty, and she is not happy about it. So anyway, I've made sour cream out of store-bought heavy cream, and I've made it out of unpasteurized fresh cow's milk, and those turn out just fine. I was just curious if I could make it out of homemade heavy cream with store-bought milk, and I personally would say no. Now, maybe some of you have done it and been successful. I would love to know how, because if I don't have to buy store-bought heavy cream just so that I could make my own sour cream, I would love to. But as far as making my own heavy cream and sour cream with that, I'm not impressed at all. Now, when you make your homemade, of course, it comes out a little thinner anyway. You know, now when you let it sit for a minute on the top, it is thick. It tastes just like sour cream. It just is super runny. See, this one's been sitting for a minute. Tastes like sour cream. It doesn't taste bad at all. And this one probably have to sit for a minute because I just stirred that one. They don't taste bad at all. Like, they taste like sour cream. They're just super runny. So maybe this would work for like a recipe that you're making like a sauce or something and need sour cream for the sauce, because you're wanting there's actually a white pasta sauce that you use sour cream in the recipe, and you're just wanting that tartness, that flavor. So this would actually work for that. But as far as like your tacos, enchiladas, I don't know that I personally would put this on there. But like I said, if any of you have, see, it's getting a little thicker because it's sitting. Yep, tastes just like sour cream. And many of you have done it with homemade heavy cream. I would definitely love to know how. If you've made a video on it, please tag me in it, or copy and paste it into the comments box, something. So anyway, that is the experiment I did to see how many things we could actually do with store-bought regular whole milk, pasteurized milk, not ultra pasteurized, not skim or anything like that. I haven't done anything with those. I was just curious if what all I could accomplish with just regular whole milk from the store. And see, it gets thick. So, I mean, you could use it if you just let it sit for a minute and let all the cream come to the top. But anyway, that is the experiment. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for me or tips, please share them. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit us up on Instagram. And remember, every day is a new beginning. Stay blessed.